talking about realism in the 20th and 21st century. What is realism? Realism as a form of art started in the 19th century in France. The realism movement as a whole, quote, placed greater focus on the realism present within the subject matter, as artworks began to depict ordinary and everyday scenes in a very realistic manner, quote Meyer. It's thought to be the start of modern art. Realism lets scenes be depicted as they are in everyday life, helping transfer beautiful and even horrific images throughout time. This movement often portrayed poverty and people of all types of backgrounds, which was uncommon in the 19th century. Moving on to the 21st century, it is a very common art form that is known and used worldwide. My first artist is Norman Rockwell. He was born in New York, a social realist, went to the National Academy of Design. He also worked for the Saturday Evening Post for 47 years, starting in 1916, and after that he did work for multiple magazines, including Look, which is where some of the paintings I have put in this slideshow are from. He also produced paintings for the Boy Scouts of America. That was his first job. And he produced over 4,000 artworks in his lifetime. He created many paintings based off the hard times in World War II, which he was present in. So his first artwork is the Four Freedoms. The Four Freedoms are referring to the speech by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in January 1941, which is the Four Freedoms State of the Union Address. The Four Freedoms consist of human rights that should be universally protected, which include freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom of want, and freedom of fear. These were produced for the Saturday Evening Post over the course of 4 weeks, one for each week. These paintings give a sense of warmth and hope. Given the warm colors and the more orange hues within the artwork, it gives the viewer a feeling of happiness. In each painting, there is a center of attention that is in each center of the artwork. The man, the praying hands, the grandparents, and the parents. The next painting I have is The Problem We All Live With. Representing a pivotal time in American history, The Problem We All Live With is based off 6-year-old Ruby Bridges. The painting is an interpretation of what occurred on the morning of November 14, 1960. Ruby Bridges, along with, quote, 3 other first-grade African-American girls, entered McDonogh No. 19 in William Frantz Elementary Schools, quote, Middleton. As portrayed in the artwork, this was far from accepted. The girls needed over 100 law enforcement officers surrounding the 2 schools to protect them from the hundreds of white parents and the other spectators attempting to scare the little girls. This hatred of integration didn't only last for a morning, but it also occurred for weeks after Ruby had arrived at school. By using oil on the canvas, Rockwell creates harsh, thin lines freehandingly to form the figures of Ruby and the 4 U.S. Marshals. Given the gradient of light in the middle and the dark towards the outside, Rockwell truly highlights Ruby to show she's the center of attention. The addition of Ruby's white dress assists in highlighting her while showing the calm and innocence of the young girl. It is known that Ruby showed no emotion but excitement that morning and the weeks following, despite what others have done to her. The last painting by Norman Rockwell is Murder in Mississippi. Murder in Mississippi, quote, was painted for Look magazine in 1965 to accompany an article entitled Southern Justice, which dealt with the brutal murder of 3 young civil rights workers the year before in the small town of Philadelphia, Mississippi, quote, Raverty. The victims were volunteers who were trying to encourage black people to vote. The local sheriff's office was working closely with the Ku Klux Klan, which allowed local racists to terrorize and end up shooting the protesters. The artwork consists of monochrome colors such as brown, black, and white, but the only bright color in the painting is red. Given that the only monochrome color is the blood of one of the protesters, it gives more attention to the brutality of the artwork. The light shining on one of the protester's face gives more meaning to the sorrow in his eyes. The light is coming from the shadows on the ground, which are the racists attacking them. My next artist is John Bratby. He was born in Wimbledon, London. He studied at Kingston College of Art, painted many different styles of art, and he was one of the creators of kitchen sink realism, where artists take everyday items and paint them. He had a more abstract idea of realism in his work, which you'll see throughout the following paintings. He is not only an artist but a writer as well, and he has written many books. He led a colorful life with many different stripes, including with his wife. His first painting is Still Life with a Chip Fryer. This artwork demonstrates a kitchen table with what looks like the entirety of kitchen utensils and ingredients. Each piece of the painting looks as though it is abstract. When looking close, it is clear that every object is an item used in the kitchen. From the cereal box to the strainer, each item is drawn in uniqueness and abstractity. There is an array of colors consisting of cooler tones that gives the entire painting harmony. Bratby actually has most of his paintings in these cooler tones, although one of the following ones has a warmer tone to it. Although the artwork seems very sporadic, every item is like a puzzle piece that brings the painting together. The toilet. The toilet represents life, the realness and unpleasantness of it. The chains and the distorted pipework give a feeling of uncomfort, along with the toilet stains making the viewer feel unsettled. The, quote, ugly type colors further represents these feelings. This is one of Bratby's more unappreciated pieces of art due to its uncomfortable feeling it presents. People generally gravitate towards happier pieces of work with beautiful landscapes, not toilets that show the displeasure of certain aspects of life. Courtyard with Washing. Courtyard with Washing depicts his wife, Jean, outside drying their clothes along with their son, David and Pran. Each of Bratby's paintings represent a part of life, everything from normality to despair. This artwork, in particular, is a representation of the normalcy everyday life carries, no specialty or anything. Other artists don't show the casualty of life as Bratby does. Bratby was one of the first people to use this kitchen sink style of work, painting or drawing everyday life just as it comes. And then these are the works cited.